when your life's not going quite as sailing smooth as you imagine, what that could be. First thing I want to say is that the world around you can control you if you allow it, or you can turn the world around you into something on the way, not in the way. You have control over your perceptions, your decisions, and your actions. I have some people come up to me. In fact, this last weekend at the Breakthrough Experience, I had somebody come up to me and said, my mother abandoned me. And she'd been running that story for quite a while. And I asked her a simple question. Okay, what did you particularly miss about your mom when she left? Well, somebody to be there for me, somebody to guide me, somebody to do this. And she ran off a list of things that she thought she missed out on. And I explained to her, at the level of the soul, nothing's missing in your life. At the level of your senses, things appear to be missing. But if you ask the right questions, you can become aware of the new forms in which those things are emerging. I said, so who was it that was there caring for you at that moment? When she left, who took that role on? And she says, well, my aunt, my grandmother, and some of my best friends' mothers. I said, great. What was the benefit of them taking it on? Not your mom. And she goes, well, I got an opportunity to do some things I wouldn't have done. My mom was not financially stable. She was trying to find a career path in another city. And yeah, if she hadn't have done that, when I think about it, I would have been very much unstable. I wouldn't have probably even been able to go to school. But the way it turned out, I was able to finish school. I was able to have friends. I was able to have nice clothes. And I had her stack up the benefits of the new people taking it on. And the drawback if her mother had stayed and not gone off and trying to find a new opportunity and job, and then later bring her back. And when she stopped and thought about it, she said, gosh, if I was in that situation, I'd probably have to understand that and do it. And then she saw that she got opportunities she hadn't seen. And instead of it being a negative event, a frustrating event, an angering event, the event now became something she was grateful for. And the event is what you make it. You can make a nightmare or a heaven out of a hell or a hell out of a heaven. You have the capacity to take whatever's happening in that moment and ask questions. And if you choose to go by your first interpretation, that's terrible, and you don't see the terrific in it, you don't take the time to find the upsides to it. Well, it's not because of the event. It's because you're choosing not to see the upsides to it. That's your doing. That's your perception. That has nothing to do with the world around you. It's your perception. And even if the whole world believes that that's a terrible event, and you can justify the idea it's a terrible event by subordinating to conformity in the idea, doesn't mean it's true. It just means that that's what most people would interpret it as, because they haven't taken the time to be intelligent enough to ask, what are the upsides to it? We've all had events in our life that we thought were terrible. And then a day, a week, a month, a year, 5 years later, we find out, oh, well, if it wasn't for that, I wouldn't have gone this path. I wouldn't have taken this new trajectory. I wouldn't have met these people. I wouldn't have gotten this experience. I wouldn't have been more resilient. I hadn't have been more independent. And then you look at the upsides of that and secondary and tertiary benefits of that. You kind of go, huh, maybe that wasn't a terrible event after all. Maybe that was exactly the event that made my life.
Thanks for watching.